So that was something I was so upfront about. I was like, this is something I want to bring to Pakistan because I feel like अगर आपको किसी चीज़ का शौक है या टैलेंट है, अगर आप उस फील्ड में जाते हो, आपको उसमें 100% नहीं 200% success मिलेगा. Like people have a misconception here about pageants that okay, this is maybe just based on looks, which is not. It's based on how you speak, what your advocacy is, what your goal is, your stage presence, how you speak, how you connect with people around the globe.
Hello everyone. Today we are joined by Ahmed Memon, or should I say Mr. Pakistan?
Yes.
Or Mr. International to be.
Yeah.
I think that is what we
Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course. So I think I just want to dive into it first. Who are you? As in for the general, I know you, but for the general people, who are you? How old are you? Just give us like a basis of everything about yourself.
So I'm 25 years old, a Karachiite, always been a Karachiite, born and raised. I'm a model, influencer, and aspiring actor. So, I got into this profession after, being in a very different kind of profession before, because I come from a family of doctors, right? So back in the days, I was into medicine. And my dad was like, okay, my dad always had this dream. He was like, I want my son to be a doctor as well, because my sister is a doctor too. So, following that dream, I was like, okay, let's get on to this. Started doing that religiously. Then there came a day, and especially my dadi, I spent a lot of time with her. So she really wanted me to become either a pilot or something in the industry, because we come from, we have roots from cinema businesses back in the days. So, following that kind of path, I was like, okay, medicine is something I'm not interested in that way. And na शौक नहीं है मुझे इस चीज़ का, तो जिस चीज़ का शौक है वही करनी चाहिए, So,
but that's very interesting, having like your dadi want you doing something separate and your father wanting you to do something separate. Did they ever clash, or was it just like they come to you and be like, oh, we think, आपको तो ये करना चाहिए?
I mean, everyone had their, own things to, suggest. But at the end of the day, the decision is always,
yours.
Yeah.
And you feel like medicine, like, are you happy in the field you're in right now?
I'm more than happy.
And you're in the influencer model field right now, and you want to go into the film and drama field.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
So, but how did your father take the fact that, but you're saying that you also have a background of drama and cinema. So this wouldn't have been too much of a jump for your father, was it? Or
it wasn't, especially because he's seen every gist of it back in the days.
Yeah.
So he knew what comes within it as well, right? So he was like, okay, make sure that if you're doing this, then dil se karna. Because इसमें मेहनत है, इसमें शौक होना चाहिए. अगर वाकई में शौक है तो तब करो. और बचपन से था ही, because I've grown up watching a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, seeing big actors, like following them, aspiring actors. So I feel like वो मेरा एक हमेशा से एक रहा है, stigma कि यार मैंने इसी फील्ड के अंदर जाना है, like deep. Somewhere.
And speaking of acting that you said, I noticed, and I don't know if this is on purpose, but I've noticed you've done a few commercials. You did Zero recently, which I saw.
Yes.
And I've seen most people go from, usually they go into dramas and then they go into, commercials. I saw with you went into commercials first, which is quite interesting, because as someone who's had some affiliation to the industry, most of your money making, everything is done in commercials, and then maybe films. Dramas, from what I know, is not that big for actors to make as much money as, commercials are. So was that intentional, that you thought, let me integrate into the TV sector first via commercials, or was it just something that naturally progressed and happened?
Being honest, it was a natural progress. Obviously I started modeling because my main forte was acting, right? So I was like, okay, how about I get better at my craft first and then jump on to dramas and movies and so on and so forth. So of course, TV commercial was something that, resonates a little bit of acting as well compared to modeling. Modeling is more like based
posing.
On stills. So I felt like, okay, that's not where my forte lies, right? So TV commercials started happening one after the other, and most of them that I've done have been outside, like up north, and that's something I love doing as well, because I love traveling. So it brings a lot of adrenaline into that.
And I also feel that, I don't know if, again, intention or not, but because you're an influencer, I've seen your content, I feel like a lot of it is also based on your up north stuff that you do, how you show that you're on a set and how you're shaving at like 4 a.m. somewhere up
Yeah.
in the mountains.
Yeah.
You know, that type of stuff. I feel like that's good content as well, because it's not the same thing every Tom, Dick, and Harry is doing. It's a
Yeah.
very different approach to the whole content creator, influencer side. So I found that very cool, you know, and different that most people weren't doing. So that was like quite nice. Slightly off script, I've not asked you this question before, but do you feel that doing these dramas and all in the future would hinder your public presence in terms of Instagram and all? Like, do you feel you'd have to change who you are to fit that actor mold, or do you feel you just want to be yourself in your influencer thing and you'll act alongside it?
So I feel like that's my approach. That's my personal approach, of course, and perspective on it. To be a great actor or a successful one, you need to be authentic.
Yeah.
You know, the more authentic you are on screen and the more yourself, the better you perform, the better people like, you know, you got to resonate with the crowd as well, right? So for me, it's always been being myself. And I think that's something I'm going to take forward as well, because
Yeah.
I think if I'm getting into this industry of acting, you know, it should be that I can say later on, okay, this is me. You know, this is not something I'm putting as a front or something, you know. This is me, Mayuye, you know. So that's my level of approach.
And now, fine, you wanted to become an actor, you're an aspiring actor, you do your social media. How did Mr. Pakistan, and because I feel like, at least for me and I feel a lot of other people, it's not something we've ever heard about as well. So it's like we've heard of Miss Universe our entire life. For like, I think even Miss Congeniality we used to watch, you know, with Sandra Bullock, is it? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So we've seen all of that, but the Mr. side has never been something.
Yeah.
So I think it's very different to hear from Mr. Pakistan, and you know, then you start thinking along, is it the bodybuilding? Because you know, Mr. Olympia.
Of
So
course.
tell us how you went about this entire process. Did you apply? Did people approach you? Just give me like a summary of how all of this went down.
So, Abdullah, it's a very interesting story, especially with Miss Universe happening around the world. You know,
Yeah.
the pageant industry has been going on for many years. In different countries, it's being celebrated, it's being promoted on a different level of scale. But in Pakistan, it happened for the first time last year with Erica Robin. She's a very dear friend of mine, and she broke some barriers. You know, she paved the way for Pakistan like no one ever has, right? So this year, the same guys, the Yugen Group, it's called the Yugen Group, they're based in Dubai. And they reached out to Erica that, hey, we're having to buy a franchise in Pakistan and hopefully get Pakistan on the map for guys as well now. So she really thought about it. She was like, okay, they asked her, okay, can you recommend some people? So of course, she recommended, me, and she was like, why don't you see if this is something that interests you?
Yeah.
तो पहले तो मैंने कहा bro, risky factor लग रहा है, because as Pakistanis हमें वो एक
The
dilemma,
first thing you think about is like, यार ये genuine भी है
हाँ,
या नहीं,
ये सच भी है या हो भी रहा है
yeah.
कि नहीं,
Yeah.
So I did my research, of course. I went on the internet, typed Mr. International. Okay, this is a competition that takes place. And I saw that Pakistan was never on the list. I was like, why not? So I went deep, I dug deeper into it. I asked them, I was like, why not? They were like, because Pakistan never really came forward with this, having to promote pageant industry. But since last year it got promoted and got boosted by Erica Robin, so they wanted to explore more about Pakistan as well, especially it being such a beautiful country. So I was actually going on a drive with my friend to grab coffee. I get a call from those guys that, hey, is this Ahmed? I was like, yes. And they were like, we would like to schedule a meeting with you and discuss Mr. Pakistan and see how we can go about it. So I was like, okay, for sure, let's schedule a meeting. So हमने एक schedule की उसी week. And I had a meeting with them. They had a set of basic questions, my aspirations, my advocacy. I'll come to that after this. So apparently they really liked how I spoke and how well I was, well rehearsed with my things and well collected. So they were like, okay, we're going to have some interviews later on with you and hopefully more people too. So it's like, great. And मेरा interview हुआ है उनके साथ. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they had like this Zoom meeting with me where they had like a set of questions, which were quite basic questions about like advocacy and everything. So to get into this, you need to have an advocacy, right? So my advocacy has always been that people in Pakistan kids in Pakistan, the youth that's coming up, have no channel to portray their talent. You know, they have no
Agreed.
place to maybe see कि अच्छा हमें अगर acting में जाना है या हमारे पास एक different set of skill है, हम उसको portray कहाँ करें?
And what is the avenue to take, you know?
Exactly.
कि है अब क्या करें उसके साथ, you know?
Exactly.
Agreed.
So that was something I was so upfront about. I was like, you know, this is something I want to bring to Pakistan, because any kid that doesn't want to fall into maybe getting into doctorate, you know, maybe being a lawyer, maybe being
The
an
typical
engineer.
norms. You don't always have to conform to
So
those, of
my
course.
goal was to break that societal norm, you know, that okay, this is time to change, because
Yeah.
why are we limitizing ourselves? Why are we restricting ourselves from the fact that okay, this person is only going to be destined to be a doctor? No, like, you know, let's start exploring other things too, you know,
100%.
because I feel like अगर आपको किसी चीज़ का शौक है या टैलेंट है, अगर आप उस फील्ड में जाते हो, आपको उसमें 100% ही 200% सक्सेस मिलेगा compared to something you do which is expected of you, right? And
And you do it with half a mind. You're not really putting your all into it, you know?
Yeah, you're not.
You always follow your passion and then everything else follows.
exactly, and you're doing for the sake of it, you know, you put your 80% or maybe 70% of it. So I had a meeting with them, and they were like, okay, we, you know, we really like this interview and we're gonna get back to you. तो मेरे दिमाग में तो था कि, you know, मैंने mess up कर दिया है, and this is gone, and that's their
Yeah.
polite way of, you know, just
Saying, okay.
okay,
Yeah,
you know,
understood, yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is gone,
Yeah.
and you know, how about I start focusing on my career, start doing, you know, commercials, modeling, whatever. And 1 month later, I what I'm guessing is that they interviewed a lot of people in Pakistan, you know, from multiple cities, Lahore, Islamabad, Karachi. And I think I was the last person they interviewed from all over Pakistan. And then they realized that, okay, you know, 2 दिन बाद में मुझे जवाब दिया कि, hey, like, you know, I think we're gonna go with you. I get an email and I read the email. मैं जैसे जैसे पढ़ रहा हूँ, मुझे समझ आ रहा है कि, okay, wait, this is getting serious. This
It's
is
like
getting
those
serious.
uni acceptance letters where you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, they say congratulations,
Exactly.
but does it say for participating, you know?
Yeah.
You're not sure,
तो
yeah.
मुझे तो वो high school वाले दिन याद आ गए कि bro, okay, this is actually happening. So I read it and they were like, okay, we're gonna go with you and we're gonna announce you. So, you know, at that time, I didn't process it, कि how big of a deal this is gonna be, you know. Until now, I'm still processing it, you know.
Yeah.
But as time goes and as my training days come, it's
Training days?
yeah.
So you have to train for this.
Yeah. So, you know, like people have a misconception here
Yeah.
about pageants that, okay, this is maybe just based on looks, which is not.
It's
you
not,
know, it's based
100%.
on how you speak, what your advocacy is, what your goal is, your stage presence, how you speak, how you connect with people around the globe, with different countries, because it is a great opportunity for Pakistan to be, you know,
Represented in something like this.
yeah, for the
100%.
first time in more than 75 years. So this is
crazy.
like a historic moment that Pakistan is going to step into a different, you know, door. And it's going to open a lot of doors for our upcoming
Hopefully,
generation.
yes.
You know, I hope so. Like, I hope next year there's someone who is strong enough and has a strong advocacy and benefit Pakistan in a very different way and represent.
So your training that you mentioned, do you think your training is, again, the only reference unfortunately I have for this is miscongeniality. So is it that, you know, you have to go and you have to learn like simple manners of like how to sit at the table, how to, you know, be poised, which fork to use for what food? Is it that type of training that you'll have, or is it more physical as well? Because, you know, you do keep in shape.
Yeah.
So is that also a part of your training, like maintaining a certain aesthetic and, you know, health and weight,
Yes,
etc.?
Dula, it is. Obviously, physicality is one aspect of it,
100%.
but it's, yet again, it's not a fitness competition, right? That's the misconception people have. Oh, Mr. Pakistan, is it bodybuilding or not?
No.
You know, there
Yeah.
is. So obviously, there is a bit of physicality, but also your
naturally,
yeah,
of course.
also your mental game. You know, how your walk, your stage presence, and how you connect with people, what your advocacy is, yet again, you know, and how you're representing your country, you know. So there are a couple of rounds. One of the rounds consists of the national gown. So 60 to 70 countries are going to be participating in this, right?
Okay.
All around the globe, our neighboring countries, India, Mexico, all these, you know, places. So, of course, the national gown has to be something that represents Pakistan. That's something I'm working on right now. And I hope this is something that leaves a great benchmark for Pakistan.
Do you have something in mind, or is that confidential right now?
That is confidential.
enough,
You'll
fair
see
enough,
you'll
fair
see
enough.
that in the competition because
Fair
that
enough.
should be a surprise.
Yeah, I think that's nice that you're holding it in for, like, you don't want people to have certain expectations, or under or overrated. You just say, okay, yeah, fine.
Yeah, I
we'll
really
see
want
it
to
when it
spill the
comes.
beans right now,
No, no,
but
no,
I
no,
think I
no.
gotta hold it in.
Or you could tell me off air right now, and we'll cut it
Yeah.
out. So okay, that's very interesting. And do you have a particular team that's going to be training you? Like, do you have anyone in, or is the committee that selected you, are they providing the training?
Yes.
And is it by fellow Pakistanis, or is another team coming from
So
somewhere?
the team that are helping are the same people who
Selected you.
selected me, right?
Very
So
nice.
they have their set of training going on, and they are from Philippines. So
Very
this month
interesting.
I'll be going to Philippines for my training for maybe like 2 to 3 weeks.
How much
So
fun.
yeah,
That's so interesting, dude.
especially because I've never been to
Yeah,
Philippines.
it's a beautiful place,
I've heard.
yeah.
Even the people, the food seems like something
And
that
the
I would
culture is
explore.
very rich there. Yeah.
Yes,
That'd
yes.
be really fun training, man.
Yeah, dude. Like, I feel like that's. I've heard that the whole city is also not overpopulated, and that's something I like. More
Coming from
calmer.
Pakistan,
Yeah, yeah.
especially Karachi,
It's
which
so
is so
chaotic.
densely populated. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that's going to be a lot of fun. I wanted to also ask that now when you come back, do you feel that, supposing inshallah, I hope you do win the Mr. International competition. Once you have that title, do you think this could help your career? Obviously, this is not something that you had planned to do and this was done. But now, do you feel like this is going to help your acting career? Or do you think, because a lot of people also have that thing of like, okay, influencers separate and, actors separate. But from what I know of Pakistan, especially, we look at actors also with how much reach they have. And you have a decent social media presence. So I feel like, especially now with this competition as well, your social media presence is just increasing. So do you feel this is going to help you out furthering your career as an actor?
Of course, like when you're provided with a certain platform, you're expected to do some changes, right? So when you're
100%.
representing your country on a global stage, it does reflect on my acting career as well because it's kind of like giving back to the society, giving back to Pakistan. So it has a very positive, feedback to it as
Yeah.
well.
And
So
a positive image as well.
yeah, it's kind of like an accomplishment, right? In my career. So this is like a stepping stone towards maybe international bounds, maybe like my acting career takes a different toll.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately my goal as well, that I want to work globally, not just
Yeah.
Pakistan. I would love to,
Agreed.
I will continue to
But
work in
obviously,
Pakistan.
global is you always, as an actor and as a performer, as an artist, you always want that global reach. Obviously, you
course.
have local as well, but your goal is to obviously reach the world, and then that also helps your local industry get, like, I think Ahad Raza Mir did that, The
Yes.
Crown or something,
Yeah.
which really boosted
Yeah,
Pakistan's
that was
name.
a show on Netflix, Resident Evil, I think.
Yes, sorry,
Yeah,
Resident
based
Evil.
on
Yes,
some
yes,
game
yes.
or something.
Yeah.
And
So
wow,
again, that was
you know.
huge for Pakistan. So
Yes.
I agree with you. I think global is the way forward. So I just want to know now that, so right now you're doing interviews, you're doing your PR, you're leaving in 2-3 weeks, and the competition is going to be roughly when?
So this is happening on 17th of December.
Okay.
This is going to be for a week.
And it's going to be held in.
This is being held in Bangkok, Thailand.
Okay.
So this is going to be for a week, and let's see. I hope to bring this one home.
Yeah. And do you think you're going to be coming back to Karachi after the training in Philippines, or would you be going straight to
So
Bangkok?
I would prefer to come back. So
Yeah.
I have things sorted, my wardrobe sorted, all these things sorted, and then go. But if I'm not, obviously, if there's a small time of crunch, then I'm going to go directly.
You've chaired a little question in my head. You said wardrobe. Are you getting Pakistani brands to sponsor you and make your attire, or are you going about it like you're not really worrying and getting some international?
So
clothes or
very
something?
interesting story.
Yeah.
So those guys, the agency, right? So they, so there were a lot of questions that what the wardrobe is going to be, right? So for every country, they're going to be representing their, national
National
gown,
code, yeah.
So for me, I was like, especially a guy from Pakistan who's representing Pakistan, brands and designers and wardrobe should be from Pakistan too. That's
100%.
my ideology on
Yeah,
it.
that's
you
what I
know?
was also thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So of course, it's gonna be from Pakistan. I'm still working on it, and I am in touch with a couple of people who
How
are.
interesting.
Yeah. So I'm working on this very cool design that represents Pakistan heritage and also showcases on a global platform that hey, this guy is from Pakistan.
And this is what our fashion is capable of as well. Okay, one last question that again just popped in my head.
Of course.
Again, like in Miss Congeniality, I saw that she had like those cups and she was doing like a performance. With you, is there also a talent section in this Mr. International, or is it just an overall put together person? Or is there a particular talent as well? Like everyone showcases a talent. I don't know if that's part of it.
So it's a lot of, you gotta be very confident about
Yeah.
this, right? You need to have a certain level of skill sets. Of course, advocacy is another thing
Yeah.
that you need to be having, and it's more like being a role model, right? Leading
Okay.
to the youth, right? And having them follow that, okay, this is something that we want to go on to, right? So I want to inspire our young youth that whatever you do, whatever profession you get into, it will come on to a part where it gives you success. And this is going to be an open door for a lot of people who are looking forward to maybe inspire, maybe like be a role model to
Yeah.
the coming generations.
100%.
So that's something I've always come around as and seen okay, especially with me like being in Pakistan, I've seen that okay, यहाँ पे बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है कि अगर किसी को ग्लोबल जाना है या इंटरनेशनल जाना है,
It's very
right?
tough.
It's very tough कि
Very, very
किसके
tough.
पास जाएं, कहाँ जाएं, कैसे करें. तो वो चैनल मैंने ना आसान करना है सबके लिए कि यार ये एक चैनल है and this is how we get to it and this is how we boost our career. So I feel like this might just help our upcoming generations.
Hopefully, 100%.
Yes.
Just thank you for giving us the time. I know that you have a crazy, crazy week right now, leading up to your training, as you've now
No,
mentioned.
thank
and the
you for
program.
having me on the show.
Of course,
It's lovely
of course.
being here.
And thank you for opening our eyes to this new event and concept in Pakistan. I think a lot of us over here have not even heard of this. So I think it's a nice, cool, interesting thing, and I can't wait to see. Is there any place anyone can watch this, or is it just like, will it be aired anywhere?
So this is going to be aired on the Thailand news, Philippine news, hopefully on Pakistan news.
Okay.
Hopefully. It's going to be channeled on all YouTube. So
It'll be on YouTube, so people can watch it digitally.
100%. It's going
Lovely.
to be a recorded show, so anyone can come and see it at any time.
Cannot wait to see you, and I wish you all the luck and
Thank you so
success,
much.
hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, my name is Ahmed Memon, and I just did freestyling. So comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you.